And so YouTube Live is starting in here. So we are backstage right now, and we'll be starting on the radio here in just a moment. We got about, so I gotta mute my background. Perfect.
You're good. You know your stuff.
Welcome to AbilityMKE Now. My name is Sue Roskoff, and we are here on River West Radio with AbilityMKE Now, a show all about integration. We bring people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together, enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We all have different abilities, and here at AbilityMKE Now, we dive into this topic of diverse abilities. The concept of disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether it's our own or with people we know or people we encounter in our daily lives. Here at AbilityMKE Now, we break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. I am so incredibly excited to be introducing a wonderful guest to the show tonight. I think you guys are going to have as much fun as me having this wonderful chat with Nancy Wright. So I'm going to bring Nancy on in here to give a little background of who she is and what is all bringing us together here. So Nancy, I am, like I said, I'm so excited you're here. Welcome.
Sue, thank you so much for having me. I was so excited all day to talk on this podcast, and I was sharing it with other people. I'm like, you got to come listen. This is such a great podcast. So my name is Nancy, or Nancy Jo Wright. I live in San Diego, California. Yes, it's very sunny and nice out here. And I am a master's certified health coach or holistic health coach. I have been since 2016. And prior to that, I was in the wellness business. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for actually animals. I was an animal health pharmaceutical rep. So wellness is really all I know. I've been doing it for over 3 decades. And a couple of years ago, I liked coaching so much, I went and got my master's certification. So I'm actually a master's certified health coach and have been for 2.5 years. And with that, that just means I understand behavior change and psychology and the stages of change. And, people know what to do, but why aren't they doing it? So we kind of get in there and walk alongside them and help encourage and support and motivate and all that. And so it's a very fun field to be in. So
I could think of so many things that brings to mind and how exciting that is for a career, because to understand why people do what they do, right? And oh, I love it. So when did you first become interested in this as your career path?
Oh, good question, Sue. Glad you asked that. I have one daughter. I was an old mother, and or I don't know if I should say older mother, but yes, I am. And when she was 3 years old, she was developmentally delayed. And then when I took her and got tested, they said, well, I took her to a neurologist. They said she has high functioning autism, or they call it Asperger's. And I'm the type of gal that, I remember the neurologist looked at me. She said, oh, Nancy, I don't have to worry about you. If I say, how high you're jump, you're going to say how high. And so immediately I dove into finding out more about it. And I always knew that food was medicine. And then I came across Dr. Sears, and Dr. Sears is out of California, but I first saw him on Oprah. He's actually a world-renowned pediatrician. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to learn from a pediatrician about food and a lot of other things that come along with the food and movement and all the other healthy things. So I just signed up for his course, and I really fell in love with it. And part of his course, too, they had a section called label reading. And you really need to know what the heck is in your food. I always say that, what the heck is in your food, because it is making people sick. And then fast forward years, I was diagnosed with, this sounds terrible, leaky gut, but it's terrible. Leaky gut and food sensitivities. And then I really could be a gut coach, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed to know what was triggering me and how am I going to heal myself. And I was able to do that. But I'm happy to tell you, well, let me back up. Kids on the spectrum, many of them have food aversions, meaning they may like the same food, pizza or chicken McNuggets or French fries, kind of the junky food. And they may not like the textures of some foods. And so my daughter was pretty good, but I could never get her to eat anything green. She would scream at like green peas or split peas. Oh, she would scream. And after going through this course and learning a lot, I'm happy to tell you her favorite food is, if you can believe it, kale. Kale, quinoa, and avocado salad. And when she told the pediatrician that, the pediatrician looked at me like, how in the heck did you do that? I said, you know what? I had to eat
Wow.
it myself. And once she started eating better or eating, eating the healthy foods, I should say, not that she ever ate bad, but, and I really got knowledgeable on this stuff. Believe me, I learned a lot. I remember her fourth grade teachers told me, what are you doing different? Her focus is a lot better. And this is a kid that was never on medication at all. And I said, the only thing I did was I just fed her better and I added omega-3s into her diet and her focus got a lot better. And so I think I did something well, Sue. I was so proud. I was so proud. And now she loves it. She loves chickpeas and tofu. And my husband and I say, gosh, she eats better than us. And she knows how to read labels. I can't get her off of Starbucks, so that's a little bit of a challenge. They're loaded with sugar. But at least we've come a long way. And I'm happy to say she's going to graduate in May or June, actually. So in a few months, and she wants to be a veterinarian and or go into animal science. And then last semester she was a 4.0. So I thought, oh my gosh, it's more than food, but wellness is it's it's intellectual health, it's spiritual health, it's social health, it's a lot of things. So I just answered a very long, did I?
That was awesome. If people understood that connection, I think we hear it different places. You are what you eat. It's all what you put in you makes all that difference. But how many people really stop and think about it and make that conscious decision of, no, really, what I'm eating is making a difference. If I'm not feeling right, there might be a real simple reason why that is. Because how many of us are taught in school how to read a label and what really is in this,
Right, and the food pyramid was all wrong. So that's right. And one of the things when I do my PowerPoint presentations, we use visuals. And so that gets people. And if I say, hey, sticky stuff in the mouth, like burgers and fries, that's the sticky stuff, is sticky stuff in the brain and sticky stuff in the tissues. And when you show that picture, they go, picture speaks 1,000 words, isn't that what they say? They get it. And then when I can show a picture of an artery and a couch potato, a guy, a little, maybe he's a little on the heavy side, sitting there, with this remote control. And I see, look what's happening to his arteries. And then I show another picture of a guy running and it looks like there's a salmon chasing them. And then the blood cells are kind of separated. They're not clustered and clotting. And I go, see, look at, that's a smooth artery. So visuals say a lot. And unfortunately, in this country, the doctors are very much into prevention. You kind of have to wait to get sick. And I think that's backwards. And so I try to teach, the way that I was taught is teach the skills method, not the pills method. So many doctors will say, oh, you have this, they diagnose and say adios. And I'm like, no, what can we do? Not what can we take? What can we do is what I want people to say to the doctors. And, I think more and more of them are getting, better, and functional medicine is really on the rise too. But it's so true about, if you're achy or if you have arthritis, what are you eating? And so one of my talks, I talk about giving yourself an oil change. Cute. So, out with the old oils like cottonseed and sunflower oil and processed omega-6 oils, and in with the young oils like omega-3 and olive oil and coconut oil and that kind of thing. So, yeah. Food really has so much to do with it. Yeah. And I lost 32 pounds during COVID, just eating food, but eating the right foods. So, yeah. And I'm a foodie. So, and I kept most of it off. So
That's excellent. That says so much too. When you make those decisions and associated with that, then I'm wondering if you have some tips that you can share with us when it comes to reading food labels then.
one of my other talk is called What the Food Manufacturers Don't Want You to Know. And so we do label reading and a little name game trivia. So another good question, I tell people first of all, on the outside of the package, that's all marketing. So I hate to say the word lie, but it is a lie. So you turn it around and the truth is always going to be in the ingredients. So first in is most in. So if sugar or salt is the first three ingredients, guess what? You're eating sugar or salt. So that's really important. And, a lot of people know this, also words you can pronounce. If you can't pronounce it, don't put it in your body. So the tips is first in is most in. Make sure you can pronounce the words. If you can't pronounce it and it sounds like a science experiment, please don't put that in your body. And less is always best. And here's an example of log cabin syrup. Everyone's familiar with this. Oh, the other thing I teach when it talks about tips and tricks and all that is a lot of food manufacturers want us to, they're very clever and they know how to trick us. And so there's misleading claims. And here's a good one. The log cabin syrup, it will say in yellow, no high fructose corn syrup. And that's a whole other thing. That's worse than sugar. But if you flip over, the very first ingredient on log cabin syrup is corn syrup. So that's what I'm saying. The truth is in the back. Don't read what's on the front. Cheerio cereal is another one. But back to log cabin syrup, you're going to notice there's words you can't pronounce, like sodium hexa. I can't even say it. So you don't put it in your body. A better one is Costco. I go to Costco and I get the Kirkland's maple syrup. And guess what, Sue? There's one ingredient and it says organic maple syrup. That's the one you want. So you could still have sugar, but just get the right sugar. And it's always about moderation. So watch out for misleading claims. First in is most in. 10 or less is good, 5 or less is better. And just the less ingredients, the better, because that's full of preservatives and all that stuff. And another example of a misleading claim, and I love this. I was walking with my mother in Trader Joe's. I love vanilla meringue cookies, but guess what's on the outside of it? It's sugar-free. And I went, oh, great. Now, had I not known any better, I would have bought it, but I'm clever. And so I turn it around. The very first ingredient is sugar. So they take out the fat, they throw in the sugar, and sugar makes us fat, right? So it doesn't make sense, right?
Oh, well,
Can you believe we're being stumped? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I know you're talking about sugar. How much sugar should an adult have on a daily basis? What is a recommended okay amount?
A lot less than what we're eating.
I bet it is.
Yeah, a lot less. So for a male, it's no more than, and I'll tell you the little calculation here. For a male, it's less than 9.5. It's no more than 9.5 grams of sugar. Well, let's just top it off to 10. No more than 10 grams of sugar. For women, it's 6. No more than 6 grams of sugar. And also 0 to 2, no sugar for those youngsters. 2 to 18, well, they really shouldn't have sugar, but I would say cap it off at 6 grams of sugar. But here's the tricky part. The food companies, when you look at Gatorade or Powerade or even ketchup, ketchup has a lot of sugar in it. People don't realize that. Look at the grams of sugar. It will say, like, for example, Powerade, I think or Gatorade is like 24 grams of sugar. Why don't the food companies put that in teaspoons? They don't. They put it in grams. So that it should say, let me think here. If it's 24 grams of sugar, you divide it by 4, and that's how you get your teaspoons. So that's 6 teaspoons, because 24 divided by 4 is 6. That's 6 teaspoons of sugar in just one serving, like in one drink, So it's crazy. You have to look at the amount of servings. It's a lot more. So you take the number of grams, you divide it by 4, and that's how much sugar you'll see it. And when I do my presentations, I actually pour that sugar in a cup. I said, that's what you just drank. So
The visuals make such a difference, right? When you see it, then you actually are like, oh, I know you said it, but now, I'm a visual person. So that's something when I actually see it, like you're saying, if it's in the cup and I'm looking at, that's what that actually is telling me, is that's what's in there.
yeah, 1 teaspoon is a
Wow.
sugar cube, or it's those little packets, this packet. That's 1 teaspoon, but we're eating way too much of it. And here's another thing, on my Instagram handle, which is Nancy the Health Coach, I will send people the hidden names of sugar because there's 250 names of it. And people like maltodextrin, that's one name of it. You wouldn't know that. Or cane syrup, rice syrup, agave. There's different names and it's hidden. And Cliff
Oh,
Cliff Builder bar is another one. It's a popular protein bar,
mhm.
but it's loaded with sugar and has different names. It'll be like, oh, cane syrup, cane sugar. I'm like, you guys, that's just sugar. It's sugar, more sugar. It's 33 grams of sugar. That's a lot. And what they're advertising is, oh, you'll be strong. I'm like, no, you won't. Sugar's inflammatory, and it's part of the reason I had leaky gut. It caused a lot of problems for me. But as you know, we have a problem with pre-diabetes and diabetes in this country, and 1 out of 2 is pre-diabetes. And I really believe that's the food manufacturers throwing a lot of junk in our food and our drinks, so we're not aware of it.
And that makes so much sense. I mean, it is quite the epidemic here in the United States as far as how. I mean, just think about anyone who's hearing this. I'm just thinking it in myself here. How many people do I personally know that are struggling with diabetes in their life?
Mhm.
There's a lot. And,
Mhm.
and that's just the ones that I know. I'm sure there's people that are dealing with diabetic issues in their life. And I just don't even, people I know that, why would they have shared that with me? So it's a horrible, it's
It's a
a,
big problem, and they call it, you said pandemic, they call it diabesity because obesity is on the rise. And they're seeing kids now diabetic age 10 to 12. Some of them have heart disease. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, that's just so wrong. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. I'm like, you know what? I just got asked to coach kids with disabilities and adults. And I'm like, you know what? I really want to do that. I have a life experience of my own. And I want people to be healthy and to know that I don't want you to be stumped. I want you to know here, I not only provide hidden names of sugar, but I also provide a grocery list for food swaps, so lower sugar food swaps, just to give them knowledge and education saying you can make really, really good food. Store-bought, your own homemade cookies are going to be better than the store-bought, and you're going to save yourself money. Just use maple syrup or coconut sugar or something, a healthier part of it.
excellent. Well, Nancy, I gotta ask the question then. With all of this, what is it that motivates you? I think we've already got a little hint of it, but what motivates you to do this? And where's your passion coming from with all this? I love it.
Oh, the passion is coming from my daughter, to be honest with you. When she was 3, I just remember telling God, whatever I need to do, I will do. And he provided an opportunity for me that kind of fell in my lap. I was like, oh, I didn't mean this. But so when I saw her eating better, I thought, wait a minute, there's something to this. And then when I started eating better, I also, I told you I lost 32 pounds during pandemic, which during COVID, which, that's hard to do, but I moved a lot, and a lot of that was nutrition. So it was helping my daughter. And I have a love for people, and I've always wanted to help people. So when I started coaching people through the master program, I realized so many people, especially after post-COVID, really had challenges of not wanting to move because we were so stuck and being isolated. And so I love helping people overcome their challenges. And when I can tell them there's healthier options out there, guess what, Sue? The weight came off. It was kind of like a side effect. It's like, no, it's a lifestyle change. Just be careful what you eat. Know that that's what we try to say, eat the food that God made, not that man made, because eat the food that grow on a plant, like a tomato or an avocado, not the food that grew in a plant, like processed Cheetos or Oreo cookies or something, because that's what makes you fat. And a lot of other things come with that. You won't have the energy or the focus, or maybe you're irritable, or.
Mm,
So helping people, I've always wanted to help people, but seeing the change in my daughter really was eye-opening for me.
excellent. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see with clients?
Oh, there's a few of them. They'll go to Starbucks and they think that Starbucks is healthy. And the food babe went after them and they got rid of their pumpkin spice latte. What they think food's healthy and it's not. So, or they'll get a healthy coffee or whatever, but they don't realize the creamer in that is really heavy, or the sugar. Or this is kind of funny. I'm a little on the neurotic side, and Starbucks advertises a sugar-free syrup. So I asked to see the bottle. And when I saw the bottle, it has a big pump on it. It looks like a big old gas thing, it has a big pump on it. And it said sugar-free on the front, but in the back it said natural flavors. So see, there's label loopholes because the FDA does not regulate our food, unfortunately. And when I tasted it like out of a Dixie cup, it was so sweet. And I said, there's sugar in this, but it's probably aspartame or some chemical, some horrible thing. So misleading claims, and I don't mean to bash them because I like Starbucks, I take some of their food, but be careful of those caramel frappuccinos and the peppermint mochas and all of that. You know, they're kind of fooling you a little bit. The other thing that I see is well, the misleading claims. Cheerios is another one. It advertises lower cholesterol, but the packages or the front of the box is a red cereal in a shape of a heart. And if you look in the back of it, it's sugar, sugar, and added sugar. I'm like, yeah, okay, sugar makes you fat. You better. So it's misleading claims. And also bagels. One bagel is equal to 11 teaspoons of sugar. And remember, for men, it's no more than 10, and for women, it's less than 6. So a bagel can really spike your blood sugar, unless it's a whole grain bagel. But that's the other mistake I see is they'll do carbs, you know, pasta, bagels. And I'm like, no, 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 let's split the bagel, maybe a quarter of the bagel. Maybe we can do a green banana instead or something like that. Something a little. They're just not
Interesting.
aware of what they're eating.
No, I mean, you're mentioning bagels. I never would have guessed that. I
Yeah,
actually
one
just
bagel
bought
is equal to,
bagels today. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I know, and I love bagels, but it is equal. One bagel is equal to 11 teaspoons of sugar. Unless it's a whole grain, it might be less. I'm sure it's less, but yeah, that's a lot, right? I mean, that's it for the day.
Right.
Get the soda and the candy bar, whatever you wanted. That you're over your limit right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I can guarantee I'll be looking at that bag when I go downstairs because I got to take a look at that now and be like, real because we don't think about that, right? We're all in such a rush. We've got busy lives. We just think about, okay, what do I want? I'm gonna grab it. A lot of it's old habits, right? Things that we're used to doing that without really thinking about the effect it has because it's just a habit, right?
Right,
But
it's
there's
it's a habit. Yeah, oh, I know. When I see people, you said a very good point is when we're out there grocery shopping, we're usually in a hurry picking up products and we don't, I mean, items and all that. I see very few people label reading and you're right. And the bottle's got to be really, really pretty. And then you just grab it and go. But, we wonder why we're seeing such an epidemic of this. And that's why I'm so passionate. That's part of it, you know,
um,
so.
well, if you could give your younger self, a piece of advice, what advice would you give your younger self?
What advice would I give my younger self? Don't drink sodas. And diet sodas are just as bad. Um, when I was growing up, I rode horses. I still ride horses, not as much as I used to. But a lot of people will think, even my sister said this, well, Nancy, diet soda. I said, no, diet soda is just as bad as aspartame in it. So I would say don't drink sodas. And I know Dr. Sears calls sodas diabetes in a bottle. That's what he calls it. And
Wow.
in fact, when you walk into his practice in Orange County over here, he has it on his desk. Diabetes, you said you're visual, right? Can you imagine
Yeah.
why? Don't walk in with a soda. And and it says diabetes in a bottle. So I would say don't drink sodas. And my parents didn't give me sodas, but I took the change and I went to the vending machine at the stables and I drank, I'm not kidding you, 3 Mountain Dews a day. And I wonder why I needed a new crown yesterday on my tooth.
Oh,
And I was a very thin kid, but I'm pushing 60 now, and over time, it caught up with me, and it can do bad things to your gut. I won't get into detail, but I was like, oh, this is not good. So don't drink soda, or if you do, we'll try not to. But if you have to, do a LaCroix or a bubbly or sparkling water or something. And by the way, when you eat that bagel downstairs, if you have any questions, you can call me anytime. Or if you
awesome.
have any questions, just call me. Screenshot it to me.
Perfect. My own help desk. I love it.
Oh, yeah, right. You can call me anytime. Mhm.
Well, just to kind of flip the subject a little bit here, what is something about you that most people aren't aware of?
And they're not aware. I love chocolate. And I love chocolate. And I encourage people to eat dark chocolate, not the
Ah,
Hershey. Dark chocolate actually is really good for you because it has antioxidants, polyphenols, which are antioxidants. It's a mood enhancer, very good for you. I love chocolate dipped strawberries. That's really good for you too. I'm like, you got, if you don't want to eat, I mean, if you have a hard time throttling back from desserts, try chocolate dipped strawberries because strawberries is low sugar. And if you dip it in chocolate, my gosh, dark chocolate is going to be good. So pure 70% pure cacao, by the way, let me just put that in there. 70% pure cacao. That's the good chocolate. Let's see, what else? I love horses. I love to have fun. I love hiking in nature. I love the beach. I live right by the beach. Um, I love chocolate doodles. I love animals. And I'm very excited. I'm hoping to soon start a nonprofit for children and adults with disabilities. So that's a dream of mine. Does that answer your question?
It does. And actually, with that, uh, what's the vision of the future for that? Do you have a picture in your mind yet of what that nonprofit would look like and what exactly it would do?
Gosh, what I want to do is I want to educate people on food because they don't know. And educating the child or the adult is also educating the parent because they're usually grocery shopping for them. I'm still trying to piece it together, Sue, but I'm
Sure.
thinking, what if I were to have employees or maybe they're interns or something where I could coach them and then they could coach the parents or something on what the heck is in this food and just teaching them, listen, you can eat healthy. And I eat chocolate every day and you can eat healthy and still be healthy. So that's my vision. I also love animals and I wanted to do a health ministry out of my church. So I'm still kind of piecing it together, but I see the church, I see goats and pigs and farm animals. I've always wanted to live on a farm animal, and I think my daughter's going to go into animal science. So, and then I want to write a book, and she's an artist, so she can illustrate it. So that's really all I can tell you right now. I don't know. I just want to, I want to coach. I love coaching, and I want to help families go, listen, I want to tell you the truth out there, and this is what's going on, and this is what you can feed your kid, and they can still taste good. I promise. And you'll be
Awesome.
healthier, and so will your child. So
Amazing.
I
And
hope that answered your question.
absolutely.
I
Uh,
don't have it all in place yet, but there are ideas that are popping in my head.
and
Hopefully not
that,
at 2 in the morning.
oh yeah. Sleep is important too. Good nutrition and getting that sleep in.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. Well, I want to actually just give you the floor for the next maybe 60 seconds or so. What kind of take home message? I know we talked a lot nutrition here, but what would you like people to remember as some the best take home messages here from you?
I would say eat clean. Eat from the earth. Eat the fish and the chicken. Eat what God prepared. Not eat the perimeters of the aisle at the grocery store. That's the green light. Stay out of the red light, which is the I hate to call it the cardiac aisle, but don't eat the dead food. Eat the food that God made, not that man made. Make sure you move every day. And the best movement, or if you can, I know if you're in the snowy thing, to turn on YouTube, but somehow move. And try to move in the morning is what I would say. I would also tell you to meditate for self-care and stress. There's a lot of free apps out there. So eat clean and green, move and meditate is what I would say. And just be careful with those labels. If it has a claim on it, most likely it's false. So I would stay away from anything that looks very appealing. That's what I would say. Yeah.
If
And I'm
anyone
Nancy
wanted
the Health Coach on my Instagram handle. Come say hello to me if you'd like. It's perfect.
awesome, actually say that again. What's your Instagram handle?
Nancy the Health Coach. Nancy the Health Coach. It's a purple
Perfect.
background and a black sweater. And just come say hi to me. I'd love to say hi to you. So
Awesome. Oh, I cannot thank you enough, Nancy, for joining us here tonight. This has been quite a treat, and hopefully, people have learned. I know I've learned something from you tonight. I hope that it's helps to make an impact on anyone who hears this because it's good information. So again,